Hi, welcome to this channel and welcome to another video. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Nelly Akungu, and before I say what I'm going to speak about in today's video, guys, in my next 4 videos, this video and the next 3 videos, I'll be taking you through a series of some questions that most job seekers find very difficult to answer. So I'll be taking you through a series of most difficult interview questions and just guide you through on how to answer them, what to consider before answering them, basically how you can go through them properly. So if you're here for the first time in this channel, we are all about personal and career growth, and of course, if you're here for the first time, you are in the right place. So just to start by, I would like to run the first 7 questions of the most difficult interview questions and guide you on how to answer these questions. So thank you. And the first question that most people struggle to answer when you get into an interview and you're asked, like, what did you like most or what did you least like about your current or your previous job? I don't know if you ever think about one thing you like about your job or one thing you dislike. But of course, I know what comes into most people's mind if you ask that question is the bad experiences that you've been having in your current job, or the bad experiences that you had in your previous job. Those bad experiences could include a poor relationship with your manager, toxic culture, poor working conditions, which is okay. But again, how do you answer this question in a job interview without personalizing it? So the way you need to answer this question, number one thing, guys, that you need to keep in mind is that you should not make it personal. You should not share personal answers in an interview. And if you're asked what you liked most, let us start with what you liked most about your current or your previous job. Number one, you need to share the experiences that you had in your current or your previous job. You need to talk in terms of your responsibility and your job. So you need to demonstrate to the potential employer how your job was able to build you. What are the skills that you learned that was specifically earned from that job? What were the skills that you learned and what opportunities did it give you despite maybe any other thing that you went through? Because the least thing you want to talk about badly is your previous employer or your previous or current job in a job interview. So if you ask this question, what you need to consider first is on your responsibilities and your job, and how that job helped in building your skills. So you need to describe the things that you liked most about your job. You can speak about the specific work that you're doing. You can speak about things like your work gave you freedom to fully utilize your skills. Your work gave you freedom to try new ideas, and maybe your work gave you freedom to just go out of your way to provide solutions. So the potential employer or the interviewers would like to hear positive experiences that you had in your previous job, not negative or personal issues. So you really need to avoid citing personality issues and problems that you had in your previous job. So I hope next time if you get into an interview and you're asked about, because I find it in most cases when candidates are asked that question, most people rush to speak about the negative experiences, because it's not saying that you need to be dishonest, but the moment you want to portray a previous or a current employer negatively, then even this potential employer will begin to see you in that lens. Like you could come out as a complainant, then again you could come out as someone who you just focus on the problems and the problem alone and not the solutions. So in such a case, you're actually reducing your chances of even getting this job, because the employer also begins to look at how you're going to behave or how you're going to carry yourself in this new job. That is how you need to handle that question. Consider in mind that you should not go personal. You should not bring out those personal traits that will portray you poorly in the eyes of the potential employer. And you should never ever speak badly about your previous workplace. Right, so the next question that most job seekers find answering difficult in a job interview that I would like to share with you guys is on what are your long-term goals. So sometimes when you get into an interview and you're asked what are your long-term goals, you can be wondering, why would they even want to know my long-term goals? And how is it even related to this position that I'm applying for? So it is very related. The reason why an employer would like to know your long-term goals, number one, for two main reasons. Number one reason is to be able to try to gauge how long you will be part of that organization. So then they're able to try to align that with what the specific job you're being interviewed for will need in that future. So for instance, if you're asked about your long-term goals, an employer wants to hear how long you'll be able to stay in this organization. And another thing that an employer is testing is to see if you're a person who plans ahead, or if what type of vision do you have for yourself. So when you ask this question, guys, I recommend you use the SMART approach, the SMART goal approach to answer. In that, you need to speak about a specific goal that you want to achieve within a specific timeline, a goal that is of course measurable and attainable and realistic as well. So a typical goal would look like, maybe let's say in the next 5 years, because long-term goals are usually, let's say, 5 to 10 years. In the next 5 years, I would like to complete my master's degree. So maybe by saying master's alone, that's already a specific goal. You've talked about time, which is 5 years. It is measurable and attainable, because at the end of the 5 years, if you finish that master's, someone can actually quantify and say that you finished that master's degree. So again, also when answering this question, after you've used that SMART goal approach, you need to be more into details in terms of just letting the employer know what exactly are you doing in building this long-term goal. What is it that are you doing already? What have you done currently in building this long-term goal? So if you already said maybe you want to take your master's, and you can go ahead and mention that maybe you've already identified the course or your line of specialization, or the course that you want to pursue. You've already identified at the institution where you want to take it from. So at least it shows you're being real, you're being authentic, and at least you're able to demonstrate that you're already doing something about it. So again, you also need to demonstrate what is it that you'll be doing, because also a goal needs continuous monitoring, or a goal needs continuous action till its accomplishment. So again, you should be able to demonstrate what is it that you're already doing, and what is it that you'll be doing in the course as you achieve that goal. Say that the employer would like to know the long-term goal, so they're able to know how that aligns with the job that you're being interviewed for, or the needs of the organization for that specific job. Another question that most job seekers will find difficult to answer is on if you get into an interview and you're asked that if you had a chance to work for one organization, which one would it be? I know sometimes most people will actually just burst and say an organization, because again, maybe all of us, we all have our either dream job or a dream organization. But please don't mention an organization in an interview when you're asked that question. Don't go as far as mentioning maybe the competitors. So you can get into an interview and they ask you if you had a chance to work for just one organization, which one would it be? Don't mention an organization, but rather demonstrate your interest in working for this organization. Demonstrate for them that they have the potential that aligns with your personal interests. So you can be speaking about your future or what you desire to achieve, but within this organization. Even if you're getting into an entry, middle, or whatever level, then you need to demonstrate how you're seeing yourself growing into different levels within that organization. But don't make a mistake of mentioning a competitor or mentioning another organization that is not the organization that you're interviewing for. Because that question basically when they ask now, they want to see your career aspirations, which is not a bad thing. But again, I'm not sure it would be prudent in an interview to mention that I want to work for this organization. Then again, in the first place, someone will ask you, why are you there? So you need to just emphasize your interest in working for that organization, emphasize your interest in growing into different levels within that organization. Again, the next question that most people find difficult to answer is, why should we hire you? This question can come in another form, like, what will you do differently from maybe the rest of the people who are being interviewed for this role? So just by the way this question is framed, like maybe why should we hire you, or what would you do differently? For me, it is always a differentiator question that seeks to just see that one thing that will be able to set you apart from every other person. Maybe there's so many people who are interviewing for this role. So guys, the way you need to approach this question is to highlight your uniqueness, to highlight that one thing that you can do better than anyone else. In this question, people make a mistake of just giving examples. Someone will come up and say, I am innovative, I am creative. I would just like to emphasize that answers like maybe I'm innovative, creative, everyone else will be creative. So in this case, if you're giving a reason, you need to answer in terms of your strength. You need to list your previous achievements. You need to list your deeper understanding for this job. And whenever you give an example, like I said, when you said you're creative, you must now become very specific and give an example of a solution that you provided or how you demonstrated creativity. When you're giving examples in an interview, you need to be very specific, and of course, if possible, you give your examples in terms of numbers and in terms of values, that whatever action you took, which value did it drive and what was the end result. So when you ask this question of why should I hire you, as I've already said, it is that one question that should be able to differentiate you from everyone. It is one of the questions in the interview that you are allowed to blow your own trumpet, the selling point for you, where you need to sell yourself in terms of the achievements that you've been able to make, the positive impact, just telling your story naturally and authentically in a way that really demonstrates your high value and in line for that particular role. All right, so another question that people find difficult to answer. Of course, all these questions, why I say people find them difficult to answer, is in the way that they are asked or in the way that they make candidate feel, because sometimes they really make candidate feel awkward. The next question that I'm just going to say, when you're asked that, how long will you work for us? So again, if an employer asks you that, how long do you think you will be working for this organization? I mean, I'm just being interviewed. I don't even know if I'm going to get this job. But again, if you're asked that question now, still they also want to see the type of person you are. Like, are you someone who is a hopper, or are you someone who is looking for to build a long-term career with that organization? So while you might not be able to say that I want to stay here for 1 year, 2 years, or a specific, you'd not be able to give maybe the specific number of years that you want to stay. But it is good that when you're asking, when you're being asked this question, and when you're answering this question, you need to answer it with optimism and positivity. Like, of course, you can't also just tell an employer that you're not sure how long you're going to stay, but you need to demonstrate that you're willing to settle, you're there to stay and build a career within that organization. So while as you answer that you're willing to stay, you also need to let the employer know that you're also looking for a place where that aligns with your values and that aligns with your career aspirations. Again, you also don't want to stay in a place that you're not satisfied for long, just because maybe in an interview you promised the employer that you're going to stay. So brings me back to what I like saying about being very authentic and being very real with yourself. Just to, at the onset, just let the employer know that you are willing to stay if the values of the organization, if the work is going to be satisfactory, if the value of the organization is aligned to what you're looking for. So show stability, show interest in staying with that organization. Just let the employer know that you're there for long term, not short term, or not just maybe as a stepping stone to your dream job, if that is not your dream job. Another question that most people find difficult to answer is on why are you leaving, or why did you leave your previous employment? The reason why this question is tricky in so many scenarios. The first scenario is if you previously left your employment and maybe if you didn't live in good terms, maybe you were terminated or something happened. So most people fear to tell out that truth in an interview. What I would like to echo in this point is that never lie, because again, with the background and reference checks, it will be known anyway. So if you ask this question of why did you leave or why do you want to leave, so if it is why do you want to leave, if you're still currently employed, be very truthful and go back to when you began looking for the job, just your job search journey. There was a reason that triggered you. Maybe it was just time for you for career advancement. Maybe you'd stayed in your previous job for a long time. You could also say you're looking for a new challenge. You're looking for a new challenge. And maybe you might have stayed in the previous organization so long, so you're looking for a new exposure. And again, maybe you're looking to build a new set of skills that your current job does not, maybe has not allowed you to build. So you see, those type of answers are genuine answers that if you tell anyone, if you tell an employer, of course, anyone knows that you'll be looking for a new job to move on to the next level, advance your career, build a new skill, you'd stayed for long. So I think for me, most important to emphasize in this point is that do not lie. Just tell the truth and do not speak negatively about your previous workplace. Do not mention personal issues. Avoid being personal in an interview. An interview is a professional conversation. I'm not saying you avoid being authentic, but avoid being personal, especially when you're having to speak about your current employer or your previous employer. Ensure that you maintain a professionalism as much as possible. So as you answer this question, remember to keep it very professional. Remember to keep it very brief, of course. And remember to keep it very real, very truthful. Do not lie at any point, because if you lie and later on this employer goes and do background checks and find out that you're lying, then honestly you reduce or even lose the chances of getting considered for that job. So you need to be as truthful as possible. So another question that most people would find hard to answer, which is a bit a tricky question, is sometimes you find people apply for jobs that they're highly qualified for, too experienced for. So when you get into an interview and you're asked a question like, your resume suggests that you're too experienced or overqualified for this job, what do you think? Again, that's a question that can really throw you back, because someone will wonder if you're overqualified or if you're too experienced for the job, then why are you looking for it, or why are you even maybe leaving your job? So yes, it happens, and when it does and you get yourself in that situation, the best way to answer this question is to show the employer that you understand you might be too experienced or overqualified for the job, but again, a stable or a good organization will need a qualified staff. Another way you can approach this question is to let the employer know that you're willing to start from that job that maybe you're overqualified for, with aspirations of growing and or giving your best in this job, so that you get promoted into another role within the organization. So you're still showing that aspect of being building your career within the organization, or staying with this organization for long. So don't go saying like, yes, I know I am overqualified, but because I'm dissatisfied in my current job, I just want a change. Then this actually shows that you're just here maybe to solve your current problems. And when you get a job that maybe that you fit in well, or that that aligns with your qualification, then you're going to leave the employer. So let the employer know that you're willing to start from this job that you're interviewing for, with the prospect that you're going to do your best, and within period of time they're going to see that you can actually take up more responsibilities. So guys, I hope if you're going to be asked this question, you're not just going to be show the employer that, oh yes, even me, I know I'm overqualified, but because I just need something or somewhere to start from, I just chose to take this job. That will really show them that you're just passing by. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this content was relatable, and I hope you have learned something. As I already said in my introduction, I'll be running a series of more of these questions in my next video. So if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do so that you don't miss out anytime I post a new video. And also please feel free to share this content so we are able to reach more people and learn together. As always, leave your comment in the comment section, and I would also like to hear your feedback in terms of what other topics would you want me to talk about in the next video. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.